For centuries, little had changed in Harlow and the surrounding countryside. The small market town was a tranquil spot. Villages of Potter Street, Tye Green, Netswell, and Great Pondon slumbered and slept. The hamlets of Hare Street and Burnt Mill were peaceful havens. The scene was one of picturesque country churches, quaint country cottages and rolling green fields. Travel was mainly along leafy country lanes. Farming and allied trades such as milling were the main occupation. In 1947, the government, faced with the task of finding homes and jobs for war-ravished London, designated this area the site of a new town. In spring, the Minister of Town and Country Planning, Lewis Silkin, set up the Harlow Development Corporation to build it. They took offices in Grosvenor Square to plan the building of Harlow. Frederick Gibbard was appointed to draw up a master plan to house a population of 60,000. Eventually to rise to 80,000. He came to Harlow to explain his plan to the inhabitants. The plan received government approval, and the corporation moved to Turlings in Harlow to begin building. A special service of dedication was held on October the 3rd, 1948, at St. Mary's, Old Harlow, and on the land where building was to commence. So, with the preliminaries completed, in December 1948, the actual building of Chippingfield began. From 1949, progress was rapid, and the building of the housing area of Mark Hall North and the Templefields Industrial Estate was soon complete. On March 9, 1951, the new Minister of Local Government and Town and Country Planning, Hugh Dalton, opened the first road, First Avenue, and the block of flats, the Lawn. And on September the 21st of that year, Parliamentary Secretary Mr. Lindgren opened Templefields. 1952 saw one opening ceremony after another. On the 28th of January, the first medical centre was opened by Ernest Marples. April saw the opening of the first infant school at Tainey's Dell. August, the opening of the Regal Cinema. December, the opening of the first junior school. And by the end of the year, the first shops at the Stowe were opening for business. The town received a royal accolade on November the 17th, 1952, with a visit from the Duke of Edinburgh, who named Edinburgh Way. His tour included visits to the Revertex factory on the industrial estate, the children's playground at Gleeblands, where he received gifts for the royal children, and the Stowe shopping centre, where he lunched at Moot House. Coronation year saw the opening ceremony of the 2000th house at Orchard Croft. 1954, 55 and 56 were years of phenomenal progress. Houses at Mark Hall South, Potter Street and Netswell were completed, the 6,000th house being opened by Duncan Sands, Minister of Housing and Local Government, in April 1955. Opening ceremonies became commonplace. Two marked the unique role of sculpture in the town. The unveiling of the Dolphin and Boy at Vicarage Wood Paddling Pool by Sir Philip Hendy, Director of the National Gallery, on June the 4th, 1954, and the unveiling by Sir Kenneth Clarke on May the 19th, 1956, of the sculpture which was to become synonymous with Harlow, Henry Moore's The Family Group. These years also saw the beginning of work on the heart of the town centre. The commemoration stone was laid in May 1955, and Christmas that year was celebrated by the opening of the first shops. On May the 19th, 1956, Alderman Joyce opened the first Harlow market. Housing at Tye Green and the second industrial estate were under construction as 1956 drew to a close. It was to be another 24 years before the master plan was completed, but the birth of the new town of Harlow had been accomplished.
Today, we are in the middle of an urban revolution. An increasing number of people the world over live in towns. In Britain, we have a larger proportion of town dwellers than anywhere else in the world, and over a fifth of the whole population lives in London. Even 200 years ago, London was accused of being bloated, ugly, and greedy for land. Since that time, it has grown furiously and haphazardly. The effects of the Industrial Revolution, then the growth of the railways, and above all, during the last 50 years, the coming of the private motor car have brought the outward sprawl of the cities, the evils of congestion of the city centre, a long, tiring journey to work from the suburbs, and modern transport choked by a medieval road pattern. The townward and southward drift continues, and within the next 20 years, there may be 3.5 million more people in London and the southeast. Every great city in the world is rapidly becoming a vortex. If civilization is not to grind to a halt, we must plan intelligently for the future. Planning is an attempt by man to control his environment, to make things happen by design and not by chance. Town planning is part of this. Throughout history, there have been a number of brave and beautiful visions of towns and cities where men would lead the good life. Nearly all remained on paper. But a fragment of one vision became a reality. This is the story of a town with many faces. The Blitz flattened vast areas of London. Whole districts, people and factories were evacuated. In the midst of destruction, people dreamt of proud new cities. Many plans remained on paper. But among those approved by Parliament was a scheme to move families and industries from an overcrowded London into a ring of self-sufficient new towns. One of the towns thus created was Harlow in Essex. The first strangers on the site of the town to be were the architects and surveyors. The countryside had its own traditions. Fields and country lanes were scarred and pitted to lay down new drainage, gas, electricity, and water. Houses and flats for hundreds of families. Shopping centers, schools and factories grew from the bare earth. Miraculously, the feeling of the countryside was never lost. The new town was molded into the landscape. Every hedge and tree or old building worth preserving was saved. They blended into the design, giving pleasure to the eye and breaking up the otherwise inevitable feeling of newness. As soon as the houses were up, people wanted to live in them. They even moved into their new homes with the paint still wet and the roads unfinished. They looked upon themselves as pioneers. In London, they said, we had shops and buses on the doorstep. But here we had to hump across fields of mud and upheaval to get anywhere. And as for buses, you were lucky if there were half a dozen a day. Still, the life appealed, especially to young couples desperate to set up house on their own and make a fresh start. Nowadays, they delight in telling newcomers of the hardship of their early years. There are plenty of jobs in good variety in clean, modern factories. At first, it was tough going. Although the town offered industry a fresh start with a chance to tailor factories to modern processes with room to expand and homes for all, industrialists were reluctant to come until they could see factories on the ground, so the corporation had to build a few on spec. Then the openings attracted growth industries, research organizations, and later offices. Today, Harlow is a boom town. There is emphasis on efficiency and a high premium on skill. There is virtually no unemployment. Few people look outside the town for work. New offices in the town center are occupied by commercial firms and by the Development Corporation. Industry is mainly concentrated in 2 estates, separated from housing, linked to the town by fast roads, which can be widened when traffic increases. People can get to and from work rapidly and cheaply, without the frayed nerves inevitable in the cities. Family town. A town of young marriage with babies and small children. Because of the boom in babies, Pram Town was the label given by the press some years ago. There is still a baby boom, and now there are grandparents too. Most of the people who work in the town rent their houses, each with its own garden. But to meet an increasing demand, the corporation has also built houses for sale. If you live in a flat, there is always a convenient green space where children can be left in safety. Children's playgrounds, playing fields, and open countryside are close at hand. Helping mothers and babies over the anxious first years is just one of the jobs tackled by the local medical services. When the town was built, there was no established tradition of medical care in the area. So an experiment was carried out with special medical centers, under whose roof all the complementary health services for each neighborhood were brought together. Doctors, district nurses, midwives, health visitors, and dentists, sharing their knowledge and experience, obviously do more for community health than is possible working singly. Yet there is still freedom to choose one's family doctor. The experiment has been one of Harlow's outstanding successes and is being studied throughout the world. With so many babies in the town, the weekly clinic is not only a vital medical service, it's also a useful safety valve for the uncertain young mother who perhaps after years in a sociable job with freedom to get about, suddenly finds herself alone with a screaming piece of humanity. A clinic becomes a club where new friends can be made. towns have a tradition of variety and liveliness. One of the greatest problems facing the planners was how to foster this. Of course, neighborliness is not created by planners, but it is possible to create places where people will naturally come together. Home life in Harlow is centered in a number of separate neighborhoods, each catering for their own local needs. The neighborhood health center, community association, library, church, pub and shops are grouped together to provide a focus for community life. Unlike village life, people are not made that they live in each other's pockets. In a converted laundrette at the heart of one of the neighborhoods, another experiment is going on. Many towns encourage budding musicians, but Harlow is unique in Britain in acting as host to a professional string quartet. People, too, enjoy the peace and quiet of the neighborhood, with the security that comes from having their children close by. In the early pioneering days, families were frequently split up as the young couple moved into the new town. Now it is common for 3 generations of one family to be found here. At the heart of each neighborhood, away from any main roads, are the schools for younger children. School here is a place of experiment and excitement.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, listeners. This is Little Fountain Radio, your station of the stars. Open it up. Our programme this week starts with the news, read by Ann Taylor and Leslie Palmer. After the news, Chris Aldrich will tell us what really happened to Joan of Arc. Christine's ever-popular spelling quiz. And then we have the debate with Francis in the chair, and the subject is ghosts and homework. Taking part will be Joan Baton, Christine Yates, John Humphreys, and yours truly. Hello, this is Leslie Palmer.
Older children need broader horizons. All the schools in the town are new, large, and well-equipped. New patterns of teaching and learning can emerge. There are no traditions. Education spells adventure both for children and for teachers. One result is that more children than is common elsewhere are staying on at school after the age of 15.
In the sink to catch the drips, all right? Safer that way, easier anyway. Okay. Right, in with a piece of plastic, lower it in slowly, don't drop it in, lower it in very slowly. That's the girl, that's the way.
pink. What about the balance of the colour?
There's too much green.
Too much green.
Too much green.
Too much green.
Where's the blue?
A successful town centre must be a powerful magnet, bringing together all kinds of people, work and activity. For the ordinary citizen, whether young or old, the High at Harlow has an immediate attraction. Here is where young people especially hope to find jobs and perhaps a career. Those who like working with people may find their way into trade, or may choose what appears to be a glamorous job. Training is essential in this as in other worthwhile jobs. It is at the technical college that the full flood of young ambition surges. Day and evening courses of all kinds are full to capacity.
Take this diameter down to the same as the remainder, and then check with your micrometer for taper and adjust your tail stop accordingly. All right? Okay, doing all right. Give it up.
Now, I want you to type the word "the" as quickly as you can. I shall give you 30 seconds. When I say stop, stop typing immediately. Are you ready? Go.
The High is dominated by the tower block of the town hall, from which the day-to-day affairs of the town are run by the elected town council. The observation platform at the top gives visitors and tomorrow's citizens alike a chance to see and understand the way the town is designed. The planning and building of the town is in the hands of the government-sponsored Development Corporation.
Well, with that area, I mean, it's a fair area to sit out on, with the deck chairs and the like.
Yes, what is the aspect, actually? I mean, with people sitting out, going to go and get the sun.
Well, it's a southwest.
The corporation's design team pushes forward with plans for more offices. They know that many firms, hampered by shortage of staff and congested premises, are now considering moving out of London.
You agree? I mean, this must always be the case with an industrial that has a prestige value. Yes. He doesn't always necessarily want to have the town centre. No, he wants it decentralised from the town centre. He wants it next to his factory, so all his money is tied up in one prestige block.
On the other hand, because he's able to give you a definite brief at the very start. He knows exactly what he's after.
Yes, but I mean...
which is rather different from...
I think a building is only as good as a brief. If the brief is good, then you've got a good start.
Charles, how far do you think we've got to improve the quality of these new office blocks? Do you think that what...
Evening falls, and the town centre, together with the neighbourhood centres, take on a new lease of life.
Let this sound almost featureless, Mr. Hunter. You know, it's like these sort of Central European plains, flat, featureless, you know. Let's start again. Let's start number 3. Yes, that's much better. Act number 1, please.
Four schools change their character each night to become vigorous youth centres.
Noble gentlemen and my most worthy patrons, it may seem strange that I, your sculptor of Mantuano, who was ever wont to fix his bank in the face of the public piazza, near the shelter of the portico to the Procuratia, should, after 8 months' absence from this illustrious city of Venice, humbly retire myself to an obscure nook of the piazza. Please, sir. I am in a humor at this time to make you a present of the small quantity my coffer contains to the rich in courtesy for the poor, for God's sake. Wherefore now mark. At other times I ask you 6 crowns and 6 crowns. And 6 crowns at other times you have paid me.
Never! Now pay your 6pence, mate.
I shall not ask you 6 crowns, nor 5, nor 4, nor 3, nor 2, nor 1, no, nor half a ducat, no, not even a mucinigo. 6 pence is the price.
sports arena built to professional standards, and a sports hall, where all kinds of indoor activities and sporting entertainments can be enjoyed, has been made possible by widespread voluntary contributions, plus grants from local authorities and enlightened industrialists. This sports centre is a symbol of how a community can help itself. There is a saying that a man cannot call a place his home until his children have been born and brought up in it. This could apply equally to settling in new towns. The first generation were strangers who came together to work out a new pattern of life. Harlow is still young and incomplete, but the present plan is for an ultimate population of 80,000. Much now depends on how the next generation build on the foundations laid for them. In the next 40 years, homes must be found in Britain for 18 million more people. Many will live in new towns and new cities. For their sake, it is vital that the lessons of Harlow should be studied, its plans, its progress, and its problems. For here, perhaps, we may see emerging the shape of the Britain yet to come.